want to start off today's video by apologizing for something that I said in a video that I posted a few days ago. And I had said in that video that I was okay with having the Kia in the driveway versus the Ferrari. And that's a lie. That's an absolute lie. And I gave it some considerable thought and just sort of questioned myself of where that thought was coming from or where that idea was coming from. And it felt like settling. And it also felt like it was coming from this very humble part of myself, this deep humility that almost dictates that to have humility, or I guess is tied to a belief that to have humility, you have to be okay with the things that you have. And that is incorrect. You can be a humble person and still be wealthy. You can be a humble person and still have beautiful things surrounding you. And the mindset really shifted around that in these past couple of days, primarily because I'm seeing that wasn't my truth. So I'm inviting you to ask yourself what is true for you at this time. Because sometimes we deceive ourselves and we tell ourselves stories and we tell ourselves things that in order to be spiritual, you must be humble. In order to be humble, you have to be okay with what you have. And there is a difference between being grateful for what you have and being in a like mindset and just being accepting of, even though that's not what you want, being accepting of certain limitations or just certain basic things that you have. And this distinguishable truth between these two things is what I'd like to kind of talk about, because you can be in a very limited mindset and in a very humility-based, but lack-based, like lack tied to that humility, when you are a spiritual person. And I know this from personal experience. So in my evolution, in my soul's journey, in the time that I have been here on earth, based on the experiences that I've had this mentality and this belief system that wealthy, rich people were not humble, that they were arrogant, that they were all living in their egos. And this isn't true, because there is plenty of evidence out there. If you look around in the world, even if you just look around on YouTube, there's plenty of evidence out there of people who are very wealthy, who do very well for themselves, but they are also humble. They're also very good-hearted people. They're very kind. They're very giving. They're very supportive. Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Brene Brown, just a few people that come to mind. These people are all very wealthy. Their needs are more than met, and yet they still remain to be very humble, very loving, caring, just good-hearted souls, like good souls. And they are here fulfilling a mission in such a beautiful way. And I was reflecting on that in these last couple of days. And Kathleen Cameron actually is one of those people too. Kathleen popped up on my feed, I think last year. Yeah, I think last year. So for about a year and a half now, I've been watching Kathleen. And if you don't know who she is, definitely check her out. Kathleen Cameron is her name. You can find her channel. You can find her videos. They do pop up. So I'm sure you've seen her at some point. And this woman is absolutely incredible. And just shout out to Kathleen because she's also Canadian. Actually lives very close to me. But she is such an icon in my eyes. And she is such an incredible example of how we can be both in the highest form, in the finest form of our identity, create incredible wealth for ourselves, doing what we love, helping other people grow, helping other people become their best selves, while still maintaining their integrity, while still maintaining their humility, their connection to God, while still being a very spiritual person. As a matter of fact, it is their spirituality, it is their belief and their faith in God that guides them through their work. And this is something that I have also been deeply connected to. I also am guided by spirit. I also follow the signs, the synchronicities, the messages that spirit gives me. And I know every single thing that I have experienced on my path is something that I was meant to experience, and it was something that was meant to grow me into the person that I am today. And so when I sat there a few days ago, and this is how much identity can shift within a matter of a couple of days. When I sat there a few days ago, I was still holding a belief or carrying a belief that I couldn't have that Ferrari in the driveway and that I needed to settle for the Kia. When if I really truly tap in, and this is what I did, really truly tapped into my truth, and I was in meditation and I realized I was like, no, actually, there's nothing wrong with me wanting the Ferrari in the driveway because the Ferrari represents nothing more than an experience that I wish to have. So if I wish to have luxurious, beautiful experiences, that doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me a person who lives from their ego, and it doesn't make me a person who is selfish or materialistic. So I think we have a lot of concepts here, a lot of belief systems, and a lot of mentalities that we need to restructure within ourselves in order to become a truly empowered individual. Because I realized it's not enough to be positive, to be happy, even with the things that you have, to be accepting of the things that you have and being content in order to manifest a really good life. That is not enough. You know why it's not enough? Because there's no power behind that. So I'm happy. I am fulfilled. I feel good. And yet I can still feel like something is missing in my life. And what that something is that luxury, that extra that my soul longs to experience. Why? Because I simply believe that that is fundamentally what I deserve. And so settling for anything less for me feels very inauthentic. Where do you do this? I'm sharing my example because I want to awaken something within you. I want you to tap into where you do this to yourself, where you actually truly desire for something better, where you long for something better, but you settle in your mind because you tell yourself that maybe, that is not spiritual. It's not spiritual to be rich, or it's not spiritual to have luxurious things, or have Prada bags, or have whatever XYZ, fill in the blank. But you see, spirituality has nothing to do with that. Being in your power and being happy and grateful in every given moment is like this secret formula. It's like it needs to come together and it needs to work together for you to be able to manifest what you truly desire. When you are in your power, that means that, yes, you observe your external reality. You are happy for the things that you have, but you also acknowledge that maybe you're not necessarily satisfied with what you have. Because when you think about it, there's a limitation to your current experience right now. There is a limitation, right? It's like you're living in a bubble. And within this bubble, you are experiencing to the limit that you can experience based on your finances, based on what you allow yourself, based on your beliefs. There's a limit to what you can experience. There's a limit to what you can call in to your experience. And so I've been really doing a lot of shifting within myself these last couple of days and just really reflecting upon what it is that I really truly feel in alignment with at this time. And what has my soul always felt in alignment with? What was I dreaming of when I was a little girl? I was dreaming of walking around in high heel shoes and beautiful dresses and skirts. I was always dreaming of, and I'd put on like these big long necklaces of my grandmother's costume jewelry. Like, I was always imagining myself to be this princess, this beautiful, wealthy being who just had absolutely everything that she wanted and she desired. I had an aunt growing up, and she was just absolutely beautiful. My father's sister, the only aunt that I ever had growing up. And although she was a part of my life only for a very short period of time, I so immensely looked up to this woman. She always dressed so classy, so put together. She always looked so beautiful, always wearing the finest silks and the finest outfits and just looking gorgeous, beautiful jewelry, hair always done. Her nails were pretty, her face was pretty, her teeth were beautiful. Like, she was just such an inspiration to me. She was such a beautiful woman. And I always looked up to her, and I always saw something within her where she like always inspired me to want to be like her. I always imagined myself being beautiful and luxurious like my aunt. And God rest her soul, she's long passed away now, but she had a certain identity. She had a certain belief about herself that allowed her to carry herself this way, that guided her actions, that inspired her actions for her to care this way about herself. And moving into higher and higher states of consciousness and moving into higher and higher states of being means that you are constantly evolving and you are constantly becoming a better version of yourself. And that literally can look like from day to day, like how for me, 2 days ago, I said that I was okay with the key in the driveway and then gave it some considerable thought and really reflected on what I had said, because it kind of bothered me. I'm like, do I really honestly feel like that? Like, is that really truly my truth? And when I thought about it, it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm deceiving myself. I'm lying to myself. I'm telling myself that I'm okay with something that I'm actually not okay with. So a little homework I would like to give you this weekend. What would it feel like to embody the best version of yourself? And what in your mind or for you is this best version of yourself? Do you see yourself as a millionaire? Do you see yourself as someone who is very wealthy? Do you see yourself as someone who is living in luxury? Are those things that you even desire? Because we don't all want the same things either, right? So for some people, they're perfectly happy living in a little cottage at the edge of the forest and, collecting herbs and growing herbs and doing things like that. And that's all beautiful. And that's what makes life beautiful, is that we all want different things. But I know for me personally, I'm definitely on a journey to becoming a millionaire. And so what I actually decided for myself is that not only do I want the Ferrari, it is actually already on its way to me. And it's on its way to me because I'm already aligning myself internally. I'm already doing and embodying the identity within myself of an individual who has a Ferrari parked in their driveway. And embodiment work is going to be one of the most important aspects of shifting your identity. If you truly want to become a millionaire, or someone who's wealthy, or someone who is very successful, or someone who has an incredible business, then you need to embody the energy of somebody who has those things. You need to embody the energy and already feel like you have those things. And you need to start living from that identity. And to live from that identity means on a moment-to-moment basis, you have to think like that version of yourself. I was already researching and looking at all the different spa treatments and different things that I was going to book for myself, because I am deciding to live in the identity of an individual who is a millionaire, who can afford those things, who has no problem booking in multiple spa services and going and spending an afternoon at the spa. Once you decide that you are worthy, and that not only are you worthy, but you are that individual, and you start thinking from that mindset, you start believing that the money is already there before it even shows up, because that's the only way you're going to call it in, right? When you start to believe that you already have the money in the bank account to go and spend the afternoon at the spa, then that money is going to show up for you. It may not show up that day. It may not show up the next day, but it is going to show up for you. So it's like the longer we can hold a certain state of consciousness, the longer you can hold the consciousness of luxury, of millionaire, of wealth, of success, of health, good health, the longer you can hold that consciousness within yourself, the longer that you can be in that embodiment and think from that version of yourself, the faster you're actually going to call it into your experience. And when you do the visualizations and you do the different techniques, because there's so many different tools that we have at our fingertips that require zero money. All it requires is your time and your commitment. When you take the time to actually sit in that energy and you say to yourself and you visualize this beautiful vision of you being in partnership or of you being a millionaire, you receiving the checks, you see it coming into your bank account, or you visualize yourself in absolute perfect health, every ailment gone, and just feeling like absolute $1 million, feeling like you're on cloud 9. When you're able to embody that energy and just hold that state of consciousness, even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes a day, you are actually going to create it. Your energy and your embodiment of it shifts your frequency so quickly and so intensely. And I'm finding, actually, talking about quickly, I have to mention this, I'm finding that manifestation is happening extremely fast right now. Extremely fast. The other day, I had a dip in my thoughts about the growth of my YouTube channel. Do you know what that resulted? That resulted in the numbers going down, my subscriber count going down. And I've been noticing this fluctuation with my subscriber count going up and down, and kind of hovering at the same number. The reason why it's been hovering at the same number is because of my own beliefs or my own views on the growth of my channel. Instead of just allowing the channel to grow, I'm in this restriction about it growing, like wanting it to grow. But when you're wanting something, it means that you don't have it. So I have to really shift, and I'm in this process right now of completely shifting my mindset about how I view this channel and the growth. And I don't want my channel to grow for money. I want it to grow because I want to expand this community. I want to call in more and more individuals who are on par with this kind of work, who are willing to make those internal changes, who are willing to move through this process that I've already moved through within myself, to become this higher expression of themselves. My goal and my mission here is to help as many people as I possibly can. And I know that I have already impacted thousands, but I intend on impacting millions. So if I intend on impacting millions, then I need to stop wanting my channel to grow. And I need to start focusing on embodying the version of myself and thinking from the version of myself who already has a large following. So do you see the difference? There are so many ways in which we screw ourselves over. There's so many ways in which we are not in alignment with the things that we actually want. And this has been definitely a journey for myself. Like, it has been a process for sure of understanding and of learning and unbecoming everything that I was in my past. Because now, for me to call in this new experience in my life, I am fully learning to step into and embody a completely new version of myself. So I invite you, if you are truly ready to have a higher expression of life, to have a higher experience of life, I invite you to consider all of the ways in which you get in your own way, all of the ways in which you are still thinking in limitation. And you have to really, really question, where those limiting thoughts are coming from and why you choose to believe them. You have to really, really question and ask yourself, is this way of thinking, is this way of feeling going to bring more abundance into my life? Is it going to call in a better experience for me? Is me giving my attention to the things that I fear, the things that I worry about, is that going to call in an experience where I'm not going to have to worry anymore? No, of course not. It can't. Because the universe is always responding to everything that we think and everything that we feel. And I've been talking about this for a while, and I've been on this personal journey for a while of understanding that everything that I give my attention to and my focus to, and everything that I worry about, or everything that I'm anxious about, or whatever, I'm going to call in more of that same result.